Welcome to the 11th Shaping the Way We Teach English webinar course. This webinar is brought to you by the American English team at the U.S. Department of State. My name is Jenny Hodgson, and I am part of this American English team. We are broadcasting live from Washington, D.C. to you, our teachers all over the world. Here is how you can participate today. If you participate in at least 4 out of 6 webinars, you will receive an e-certificate. In order to be sure you are eligible for this certificate, please submit your email address at the very end of the webinar when we request it. Please do not submit it before then. Raise your hand if you are viewing this webinar with a group. So if you are hosting a viewing session, please raise your hand. Remember, if you are hosting a viewing session, please include the number of participants in your viewing session next to your email address at the end of the webinar. So, welcome again to the Shaping the Way We Teach English webinar course, brought to you by the American English team at the U.S. Department of State. In addition to webinars, the American English team has many more resources to share. We hope you've heard of our website, americanenglish.state.gov. It is full of resources for English teachers, English learners, and anyone interested in American culture. Please raise your hand if you have heard of this website, American English. Great, so many of you. So today I'm going to tell you about just 2 of our many resources that are available. We have Activate, Games for Learning American English, and Create to Communicate Art Activities for the EFL Classroom. Activate Games for Learning American English is a compilation of games that can be used in the classroom to help students learn English in a fun and interactive way. On our website, you can search Activate Games, and there you will find the list of games that is available for download. In the downloadable instructions, you will find step-by-step directions on how to play the game. You'll find examples of student responses in the Play or Talk section, and you'll find variations of the game, in this case, Name Your Least Favorite, so that you can use the games multiple times. We also have Create to Communicate, and this provides teachers with innovative lesson plans on how to teach English with art. This resource can be used with a wide range of levels to teach a variety of grammar points, vocabulary, and academic skills. So as you'll see, you'll find step-by-step instructions, objectives, materials, lists, and of course the language component. So one last thing before we begin today's webinar, a great way to stay up to date with what is new on our website is to like us on Facebook. We are always adding new content for both teachers and learners. So today's webinar is about the Color Vowel Chart, another resource that you can find as part of our American English package. The Color Vowel Chart is a visual tool that provides teachers and learners with a common point of reference in teaching pronunciation. In today's webinar, we will introduce you to the chart, and we will demonstrate techniques and activities that can engage your learners' multiple intelligences as a pathway to language awareness and improved comprehensibility in spoken English. So we'll address many questions today. How is spoken English different from other spoken languages? What are the vowel sounds of English and why are they so important? How can multiple intelligence approach help both me and my learners to master new sounds? And how can I teach pronunciation without taking too much time out of my other lessons? So our presenter today is Shirley Thompson, and Shirley is one of the co-authors of the Color Vowel Chart. Shirley is an ESL program consultant and teacher trainer in Washington, D.C., and has also taught at George Washington University, the University of Maryland, American University, and Montgomery College. Shirley has also taught English in Benin and Togo, as well as Senegal. So let's welcome Shirley, and she will tell us all about the Color Vowel Chart and how to use it in our classes.
Welcome, everyone. It's exciting to be with you and share with you a tool that my colleague Karen Taylor and I developed for our own classes. And as we began to talk to others about it, we found that other people were interested in it as well. And now it's becoming something that you're going to learn about all over the world. I see people from so many different countries. It's wonderful to have you all here. Today, we're going to be learning about this tool, the color vowel chart, and the whole point of the vowel chart was to simplify how we approach pronunciation. It simplifies the way we talk about the aspects of spoken English that really matter, those aspects that make us more easily understood, beginning with, of course, stress. Raise your hand if you attended the webinar that I did on teaching pronunciation about a year ago. Did anybody attend that webinar? If you didn't, you might want to go back and actually listen to that webinar as well. It will give you some more background information on where this chart came from and kind of the bigger picture of how we approach pronunciation, although I'll try to do some of that today as well. The color vowel chart was developed by me, I'm in the front with the scarf, and my colleague Karen Taylor, to help our own students at the university level with their challenges of spoken English. The chart is informed by phonology, multiple intelligence, and tries to address various learning style theories. The chart we started off with a chart in higher education, but the chart is now being used by teachers and students at all levels, from elementary schools through secondary schools, and in adult education as well as teacher training. I used the tool to train teachers here in this country because, believe it or not, native English speakers probably have as many problems teaching pronunciation as non-native speakers. Often their own awareness of English is much less than those of you who had to learn English as a second language or third language. So here's the chart. By the end of this webinar, you will be able to explain, or you will understand, what all the different various parts of the chart are. You'll be familiar with the words and the colors and their placement on the chart and why they're there, as well as understanding what the superscripts at the top, the Y, the R, and the W mean. And you'll have lots of ideas on how to use the chart in your everyday teaching. We hope that you'll come up with other ideas on your own and that you'll share them with us at our website or on the Ning or on Facebook. One of the best things about the chart is that it not only does it simplify how we approach pronunciation, but you don't need to have any special materials to go along with it. You can use the chart with whatever materials you're already using to teach English. And you can use it in any class, grammar, reading, writing, etc. The chart will help you easily incorporate pronunciation into all of your classes so that your students can improve their understanding and use of spoken English. If you use it regularly, the color vowel chart approach can make teaching spoken English much easier, much more effective, and more enjoyable for you and your students. I want to say something again about many people feel like when you're not a native speaker that you're not sure how to pronounce things. Let me just say that the more we begin to notice the sounds, the better we get at it. And this chart provides a tool for doing that. It's a useful, easily accessible tool that can help you begin to organize and solidify your awareness of American English sounds. The chart is based on the sounds of American English because that's what Karen and I both speak. Although I understand it is also being used by teachers who speak other versions of English, Indian English and British English. Even Karen and I don't share exactly the same vowel sounds, but the chart is flexible. You can review all of the information that we talk about here on the back of the chart and at our website. So I'll be going through things rather quickly, trying to get lots of participation from you, but if there are things that are a little confusing, go to the website and look at the back of the chart if you're able to get one. Okay, let's get started. You probably already know that English spelling and English sounds are not very well coordinated the way they are in some languages. And that makes for some challenges. Let's look at what some of the challenges of teaching pronunciation are. Written English versus spoken English, reading across from left to right. Written English consists of individual words separated by spaces. Spoken English consists of connected words delivered as phrases, which can often lead to confusion when people are listening to spoken English. Written English adheres to a narrow range of acceptable spellings. Spoken English includes a wide range of national, regional, and cultural accent differences. Written English is evaluated on its correctness of spelling and pronunciation, etc. Punctuation. And spoken English is primarily judged by its comprehensibility. Many of you mentioned that your students are afraid of making mistakes. I would suggest that you really focus on them being comprehensible, not having a perfect accent, not having perfect pronunciation, but being comprehensible. Even in this country, the United States, we have many different accents, but we still understand each other. And we understand people that have foreign accents. So that's not something that you and your students really need to worry about. Let's talk briefly about American English vowels. The vowel letters of English. Let's say the letters along with me. A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y as in sky. So we have a maximum of 6 vowel letters to work with, and the problem comes because of the sounds. We have approximately 15 different sounds, and this depends on the variety of English that one speaks and where one was born, etc. So we have to deal with the fact that unlike some languages where A is always pronounced in one way and E is always pronounced in another way, in English we don't have that luxury of simplicity. The vowel sounds of spoken English, let's look at the letters versus the sounds. Here we have the letter O pronounced oo, to. Look how it's pronounced here. So, say the words with me. To, so. You can hear that the O spelling is pronounced very differently. On, here's a third. Of, a fourth pronunciation. Woman, a fifth pronunciation. Women, a sixth pronunciation. Now some are more common than others, but here we have O pronounced in 6 different ways. Oh, 7 different ways. I always forget there's a 7th one. As in work. Work. Now, here we have the sound dress, and let's look at the fact that in English, it's not always spelled with the same letters. Here we have the same sound spelled in a different way. Friend. Bread. Let's read those together. Dress. Friend. Bread. Any. Said. One letter can have many sounds. One sound can have many letters. The nature of English spelling makes it difficult for learners to know how written words are spoken. The chart will give you a way to talk about sounds without using letters or another alphabet. Let's look at one more example. This is why we need to teach our learners to trust their ears and not their eyes. And we advocate, as much as possible in your classrooms, letting students hear words and hear phrases before they see them. Because so often, once they see something, they think they're going to pronounce it in a given way that may not be correct. Let's look at these words. How do we pronounce the letter A in English? Gray. That may be one of the more common ways, but we also pronounce it as in black. Mustard. Here it's pronounced Auburn. Here it's pronounced aw. About. Here it's pronounced any. Let's read those words together. Gray, black, mustard, auburn, about, any. So the chart will allow us to talk about the sounds without using the letter names, which simplifies it. Instead of saying, let's practice the A sound, we can say, let's practice words with the gray day sound. Let's practice words with the gray day sound. Or let's practice words with the black cat sound. Ah, black cat sound. Or if someone says, what's that sound? You can say, that's the rose sound, the rose coat sound. Oh. Before we look more closely at the chart, let's review for a moment why it is that we need to focus on these vowels. Why are we making such a big deal about vowels? We're focusing on vowels because we need to focus on stress in English. Spoken English is based on combinations of stressed and unstressed syllables. The use of syllables in spoken English, the use of stress in spoken English is essential. When stress is absent or inaccurate, one's speech is less comprehensible and may result in misunderstandings. In fact, often results in misunderstandings, even if all of the individual sounds are correct. And this is why we've moved away from the stress on minimal pairs, because often it's not the individual sound that confuses the listener, it's the lack of correct stress. So we need to teach our listeners and ourselves to notice stress, to focus on stress. Stress is what we call a deal breaker in spoken English. Judy Gilbert, who has written, she's the author of Clear Speech, which I think some of you might be familiar with, has another way of talking about this importance of stress. If you look at the pyramid, at the bottom of the pyramid we have a thought group. And a thought group is simply a group of words that make sense together. It can be a complete sentence. It can be just a phrase, a prepositional phrase, for example. So here's the thought group. Where's the produce? Where's the produce? And in this case, produce meaning fruits and vegetables, perhaps in a market or a grocery store. Where's the produce? Within that thought group, one word is going to have more focus. And we're going to focus on it because it's the most important word, or one of the most important anyway. So in this case, the focus word is produce. Now, within that focus word, we have one syllable that is stressed, that has primary stress. And this is true for every word in English. If it has more than one syllable, it's going to have one primary stress. And in this case, it's produce. And within that stress syllable, we have a peak sound, the most important sound, which is the vowel, because it's the vowel that we notice. It's the vowel that's lengthened. Produce, produce, produce. I highly recommend Judy Gilbert's article, Teaching Pronunciation with the Prosody Pyramid. I think you'll find the link. Here's what Judy Gilbert has to say about the vowel sounds. The vowel sounds in peak syllables are crucial. Other parts of the thought group can and should be muffled, but the vowel sound at the center of the peak syllable needs to be extra long and extra clear, because we're using stress to point the listener to what we want them to focus on. Let's look a little more at stress in English. Stress in English impacts meaning. Now, I'm not saying that other languages don't have stress. They do, but very often they don't use stress in the same way, and changing the stress won't necessarily change the meaning, whereas in English it usually does. Even at the word level, the difference between convict and convict. Convict is a noun, to convict is a verb. Record and record, a noun and a verb. Produce, the noun, and produce, the verb. But perhaps even more importantly, at the conversational level, stress can be used to totally change the meaning of a sentence. So here, for example, a customer at a fast food restaurant ordered as follows. 2 double cheeseburgers, an order of fries, and a lemonade, please. 2 double cheeseburgers, an order of fries, and a lemonade, please. After looking at his order, he says, "Excuse me, I asked for 2 double cheeseburgers." "Excuse me, I asked for 2 double cheeseburgers. What's the problem here? Let's take a poll." Did he get 2 hamburgers? Did he get 1 double cheeseburger? Did he get 2 single cheeseburgers? Okay, I'll read it again. "Excuse me, I asked for 2 double cheeseburgers. I asked for 2 double cheeseburgers. Can you hear that he's focusing on the word cheese? I asked for 2 double cheeseburgers. Cheeseburgers. So he wants to have the server focus on the fact that he wanted cheeseburgers and he didn't get them. He got hamburgers. He wanted 2 double cheeseburgers. Okay, let's look at another possibility. What if the server said, what if the customer looks at his bag, at his order, and he says to the server, "Excuse me, I asked for 2 double cheeseburgers. Excuse me, I asked for 2 double cheeseburgers. What's the problem?" I asked for 2 double cheeseburgers. What's the problem? Okay, again here, if you listen carefully, the stress is on 2. I asked for 2 double cheeseburgers. So the problem is he didn't get 2. He probably just got 1. So it's the second answer. Okay. If you're not used to hearing stress, it's something that, again, this new awareness that you may have so that you can begin to really focus on stress will help you immensely in terms of understanding spoken English. So here you can see it again in writing. The first time he says, "Excuse me, I asked for 2 double cheeseburgers," meaning I didn't get cheese, I got hamburgers. And the second time he says, "Excuse me, I asked for 2 double cheeseburgers." So he probably only got 1, or maybe he got 3, but he didn't get 2, right? Okay, let's move on. Remember I said that we use stress in English to point to what's important. Different languages use different techniques to indicate or point to what is most important. So using stress may not come easily or naturally for your students, but it's perhaps the most important thing in helping students speak more clearly. So in English, for example, a teacher can say, "What are you doing?" And a student can respond, "I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm listening." And if the teacher says, "Who's listening?" the student can respond with the same words, "I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm listening." The student, if the teacher says, "Why aren't you listening?" the student may respond, "I am listening. I am listening." Think about how your language might express these same ideas, and it may be that you don't use stress in the same way that English does. In fact, it probably is that you don't use English in the same way, use stress in the same way. What the color vowel chart will do is help you and your students focus on this very important aspect of English, stress, which again is expressed in the vowel. So, since stress starts at the word level, let's get started with it. Briefly, each color in the color vowel chart represents a single vowel sound. Each sound has a color name and a key word. So, for example, green tea, green is the color name and tea is the key word. So we have the adjective and the noun. They both contain the vowel sound that you hear, E, in both words, green tea. So both words contain that vowel sound. Similarly, if you look at the blue box, blue moon represents the vowel sound oo, the vowel sound oo that you hear in words like true, balloon, approve. Both words, blue and moon, contain the same sound. Even though these words have different spelling patterns, they share the same vowel sound, which can conveniently be called blue. Even though the spelling is different of the words true, balloon, and approve, they all have the same sound. They share the same sound. So we would say that all of those words are blue. Let's listen to Karen pronounce each of the color keyword combinations. Make sure that you're producing the same vowel sound for both words. Say them along with her. And you'll notice that she's going to skip a couple of colors, but we'll come back to those. It's important that you and your learners feel comfortable saying each color keyword phrase, as you will use these familiar words as a bridge to learning and remembering the pronunciation of new words. So now you get to meet Karen via video.
Let's go through the individual sounds in the color vowel chart. Green tea, E. Silver pin, I. Gray day, A. Red dress, E. Black cat, A. Olive sock, ah. Auburn dog, aw. Brown cow, ow. Rose coat, o. Wooden hook, Blue moon, ooh. I. Watch how it moves. I. White tie. Those two words contain the featured vowel sound. I. White tie. I. Over here, similarly, we have oi, which is, in this case, it's a very big mover. It starts over here in the vocal tract. Oi. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oi. Yeah, 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 yeah. Try again. Oi, yeah, yeah, yeah. In linguistic terms, we'd call it a diphthong. But when we teach our learners, we don't necessarily have to use that terminology. And by not using it, we can use learners' attention for the bigger concepts that actually help them become more comprehensible.
That, but if you weren't able to see that, you can watch it later on the Ning. So remember again, when you practice, you want to make sure that you're saying both words with the same sound. So we know that each word in English has only one primary stressed syllable. And so therefore we can say that each word has a color. Every word in the English language can be given a color name. And we identify the color of new words by, first of all, identifying which syllable is stressed, and then within that syllable, where is the heart or the peak of that syllable, the vowel sound, which will be lengthened. Using the color vowel chart, we can say that each English word has exactly one color. So let's go back again to that word that we had in the pyramid. Where's the produce? Where's the produce? Produce has two syllables. The stress is on the first or the second? Produce. Produce. Yes, the first syllable. And what sound do you hear in that? Oh, produce. Oh, oh. Do you hear the rose coat sound? Rose coat? Good. Let's try a few more. Here are some one-syllable words. Soup, soup, soup. Can you hear that soup is blue? Soup. Blue moon soup. Blue moon soup. Let's try another one. Bread, bread, bread. What color is bread? Yes, it's red. Red dress, bread. Red dress, bread. Can you hear it? Now, how about knife? Knife, knife. Knife is that big mover that Karen talked about. White, white tie knife. White tie knife. Now let's try some multisyllable words. In multisyllable words, of course, you need to decide, first of all, which syllable is stressed. So let's take the word education. Education. 4 syllables. Which one is stressed? Education. Can you hear? Education. 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 Yes, it's the 3rd syllable, K. So the sound is gray. I see a lot of you got that one. Education, gray, day, education, gray, day, education. Let's take another one. Classroom, classroom. Which syllable is stressed? The first one, right. Classroom. And what is the sound in that stressed syllable? Class, ah, ah, ah. Very good. It's black. Black cat classroom. Black cat classroom. Let's try another one. Biological. Biological. That is a 5-syllable word. Biological. Biological. 3rd syllable, right. And what color is it? Biological. Ah, ah. Good. Olive, sock, biological. Olive, sock, biological. So here you can see how you can take a word, underline the stressed syllable, the lengthened vowel, and identify it according to its color. Okay, let's try some more. This time, you'll see the word appear on the chart as I say it. You decide in your own mind what color it is. If you're with your colleagues, you can share your idea with your colleagues, and then you'll see it appear on the chart. So the first word is good, good, good. This coffee is good. This is good coffee. Good, good. Okay, I see that some of you are saying wooden and some of you are saying blue. Let's try this. Blue, moon, good. Wooden, hook, good. Which one sounds the same? Great, wooden hook. Most of you got that now, yeah. The spelling might have confused you because you saw the O-O and maybe you saw the moon. But O-O can be pronounced in at least 3 different ways in English. Okay. Good. Wooden hook, good. Wooden hook, good. That's a difficult sound for many people to make. Nice, 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 nice. If you open your mouth, can you feel how that sound moves? Nice, nice. Great. White tie, nice. Most of you got that. Here's the next one. Now, this is one that I pronounce as Auburn, strong. But listen to the way Karen made this chart. Listen to how she pronounces it. Strong, strong, strong. What sound is strong? Strong. Olive sock, right. And you'll notice that olive sock and Auburn dog are very close to each other, and Americans have differences. Some of them would say strong as olive sock, strong, and some would say strong as Auburn dog. And again, noticing it, knowing what is stressed, knowing that it's going to be in that part of the vowel chart is good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. Oops, I'm sorry, I forgot to say it. Happy, happy, happy. Happy is black. Next one is super, super, super. What color is super? Super, super. Okay, most people are saying blue. Some people are saying purple. Listen to it. Purple shirt, super. Blue moon, super. Purple shirt, super. Blue moon, super. Blue moon, super. Can you hear that it's blue moon? Okay. Takes practice, and the more you practice, the more aware you'll become. And if it makes you feel any better, native English speakers have a hard time identifying it sometimes, and they need to practice too and develop their sound awareness the same way that non-native speakers do. So super is blue. How about friendly? Friendly. 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 Red. It's red dress friendly. Red dress friendly. Red dress friendly. Sometimes you can even feel that your mouth should be feeling the same way when you say the word. Here's another one. Fantastic. 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 If you said black, you're right. Fantastic. Black cat. Fantastic. Black cat. Fantastic. Two more. Impressive. 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 Red dress impressive. Can you hear it? Red dress impressive. Somebody said gray day impressive. Can you hear this? As in red dress. Yeah. Again, we'll do some more practice, and you can always come back and you can go to the website and hear the sounds again as well. One last one. Interesting. 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 I see silver pin. Looks like everybody, pretty much silver pin. It is, somebody said green tea. It's very close to green tea because if you remember from, well, you'll see when Karen does why the shape of the vowel is as it is, that green tea and silver pin are very close together. But this is actually silver pin, interesting, silver pin, interesting. Great. Now we're going to do an activity called What Color is Your Name? This is an activity that we do in teacher training. We do it in classes with beginning students. We do it in classes with intermediate and very advanced students. And it's a way to get folks to really focus on some key aspects of spoken English. Plus, names are the most personal words that we know. Personalizing spoken English can help us acquire the sounds of spoken English. Our names take on different pronunciation depending on the people who speak it. Can you still hear me? Okay, what color is your name? Oh, I see. Jenny's setting up a new chart. Okay. My name, Shirley, if you listen to it, it has two syllables, Shirley, and the first syllable is stressed. I don't say Shirley, I say Shirley. So my name is Purple. So what you can do with your students and with your own name is if your language does not have stress in the same way as English, what you'll need to do is to decide which syllable you want to stress. What sounds the most comfortable for you? Because American English speakers, in fact most English speakers, are going to have to choose one syllable to be stressed. So you decide what syllable do you want to be stressed and give it, and then decide what color it is. Okay, I see some names coming up. They're going by very quickly. Pedro. Pedro I think would be gray unless it's Pedro, then it would be red. Lila is white. Renee is gray. Oh, they're going by so quickly I can hardly. Maria is green. Great. So let me tell you a little bit about my name. When I had to do the opposite thing when I was living in Togo and Benin and Senegal. People who are French speakers have a hard time saying my name. And so what I would do was take my name with its American pronunciation and give it a more French pronunciation. So instead of being Shirley, I became Shirley. Shirley. Okay? One of the things that's great to do with this is have your students decide how would an American pronounce their name, and then use that pronunciation in class as a reminder of those two basic rules of English. Number one, that if it's more than one syllable, it has to have a stress on one syllable. And number two, it's going to have to use one of the vowel sounds of English. And you have a great choice, 15 different ones, right? So I hear Stanley is black cat. Irvin would be, well, I would say Irvin is purple. Alfredo. Isabel is red. Christina would be green. Kellen is red. Pilar, oops, they're going by so fast I can't read them. But anyway, I hope you found this interesting and you might try doing this activity with your students. Here's some examples. Okay. Here's some examples of other ways that people have decided to give their names an American sound. Okay, here we have an example of a color vowel wall poster. The wall poster is olive sock, and we'll be looking at more of these in a minute, but one of the things that we have our students do is write all of their new vocabulary words on their wall charts in the classroom, the wall posters, or word walls we sometimes call them. And you can see that this olive sock poster has vocabulary words like hard, dollar, problem, but then the students also wrote their names. So all of the students who have olive-colored names wrote their names here. Bonifacio, Thomas. And Thomas, I think, was a Spanish speaker, so probably his name in Spanish was something more like Tomas. But in English, Thomas with the olive sock. Susanna, Zara, Connor, Suada, Anna. And here's another example. This is the wall chart from more of an intermediate class. And you can see, again, a combination of some vocabulary words and their names. So under green tea, we have Ingrid, Miriam, and then some vocabulary words, cheese, tangerine, peanut, beans. And under blue moon, we have some vocabulary words, dew, soup, and we also have two names, Guadalupe and Raul. Okay, so I think you're getting pretty good at identifying the color of words. So let's talk about how phrases also have color. So for example, if we have the phrase feed the cat, feed the cat, feed the cat, feed the cat. One word in a phrase is typically going to be pronounced longer and louder than the other words. So in this case, we have two content words that both have stress, feed and cat. But cat clearly has more stress. Cat, feed the cat, feed the cat. So in this case, we would say that the phrase itself is black, feed the cat, feed the cat. I'm going to read some more phrases and let's see if we can identify which focus word has the most stress and identify the phrase that way. See you later, see you later. See you later. See you later. So the stress word is later, so it would be gray. We would say that the whole phrase is gray. And we typically talk about the color of phrases that are very common, that we use all the time. Let's get together. Let's get together. Let's get together. Let's get together. Where's the focus there? Let's get together. 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 So it would be red, let's get together. On the table, on the table, on the table, on the table. Clearly table is stressed, so we would say the phrase is gray. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. The stress is on like. Like. What color is that? I like it. I like it. Great. Yes, it's white. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Meet is the key word, the focus word. Nice to meet you. So it would be green, green tea. Now if we change the focus of the sentence, then we change the stress. So if someone says, nice to meet you, and the other person says, nice to meet you, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. In that case, the phrase would change from green to what color? Nice to meet you. Blue. Yes, very good. Okay, now we're going to do a quick poll. I'm going to read 3 more and see if you can decide what color the phrase is. Thank you. in the evening, in the evening, in the evening. Thank you, thank you. I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. I'm going to go back to the first one. In the evening. Yes, most of you said green. In the evening. In the evening. Because the stressed syllable is eve. Eve. Green tea. Eve. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Is it auburn, gray, or olive? Auburn, gray, or olive. Thank you. Thank you. I see many of you are saying auburn, but listen carefully. Auburn, aw. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can you hear that it's gray? Thank you, thank you. Auburn would be thank you, thank you. And the last one, I don't know, I don't know. And most of you said rose. That's great. Again, keep practicing, keep listening. It will become easier, I promise. We're going to move on now to talking about practical ways that you can use these ideas in your own classroom. Again, starting at the, okay, here are the phrases again if you wanted to see them. See you later, let's get together on the table, I like it, nice to meet you, okay. And thank you, in the evening, and I don't know. Here's a picture of a teacher who is going over a lesson with her students. They're actually using the Oxford Picture Dictionary, I think. And what they're doing is identifying the color of the new vocabulary words that they're practicing. Once they identified the stressed vowel and its color, they will add them to the appropriate wall chart underneath the color. And then they can also add them to their own personal word list. Let's see what one of those looks like. Here's an example of a color vowel word list. The color vowel word list is really a graphic organizer that helps learners visualize how words sound. So you have a box for each color, and notice that you don't need color to do this. Once they know that green tea represents the E sound, it doesn't always have to be written in green ink. Same thing with turquoise toy, cup of mustard. You don't have to write them in that color because they'll learn what the sounds are, and they know that the sounds represent, that the colors and the words represent the sounds. We recommend using one color vowel word list per topic or lesson and collecting them to check to make sure that the students have them in the correct boxes, or perhaps having them compare them in pairs or in groups, and then reviewing them often. And I can't say that enough. Review them often. Review them often. Here's an example of how the color vowel word list would take the words that we just did and put them, how we would put those words on the list. So you remember we had the word good, and that's written under wooden hook, and it's underlined. And we had the word super, which is under blue moon, or in the box blue moon. Nice is in the white tie box. Interesting in the silver box. And then under the red dress box, we have friendly and impressive. So this is how the color vowel word list works. You can download this from the website, or you can design your own, and it doesn't even have to be exactly this shape. We tried to keep it in the shape of the chart itself, but some teachers have done it just with the words written across the top of the page, and that's fine too. Take a minute to look at this example. Again, you'll notice that when you underline the stressed vowel, then students can begin to notice, are there any patterns to how certain sounds are spelled? So if we look at the blue moon, for example, how is blue moon spelled? How is the oo sound spelled? We can see it spelled with a U, with an OO, with an OU, with a UE, with a U, and with a UI. But in what patterns, what kind of conclusions could students draw from that? Most of the time, blue moon is spelled with at least one U and maybe a U followed by another letter, and sometimes it's spelled O-O. Let's look at the red dress box. I want you to notice here the phrases. Remember we talked about phrases having a color. A head of lettuce, a head of lettuce. Head also has a stress, but we don't classify the phrase as being, we classify the phrase according to the stress sound in the focus word. So a head of lettuce, a loaf of bread, a bottle of ketchup, a bottle of ketchup. And this helps your students really get the rhythm of English down by having them work with phrases as well as just words. Let's look under black cat. Apples, cabbage, a bunch of bananas, yams, radishes. What do you notice about the spelling there? Can you see that every single time black cat is spelled just with an A? Nice. Every now and then, English spelling is logical. Okay, let's move on to another strategy that uses the color vowel chart. Let's focus, another strategy is to focus on word forms so that when students are learning word forms, or sometimes they're called word families, they don't get the mistaken idea that they're always pronounced with the same stressed vowel sound. So for example, we have the word photo and photograph, which both have the key stressed vowel as O, so we would say photo and photograph are rose words. And this is a way, if your students are keeping vocabulary in a notebook, they can also do it this way, where they write the word and then after the word, write the color name for it. Photo, photograph, rose. But look, listen to the word photographer, photographer. Suddenly it changes to olive. Photographic, photographic has a different stressed vowel and it's black. So now let's do a poll. I'm going to read you some words that you tell me if you can hear what the sound is and how it changes depending on the part of speech. So what color is educator? Educator. Educator. Educational. 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 Electric. Electric. Electrician. 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 I'll read them all again. Educator. Educator. Most of you said red. That's great. Educator. Educator. Red dress, educator. Red dress, educator. Educational. Educational. Gray day, educational. Can you hear that? Gray day, educational. What color is electric? Electric. Red dress, electric. Yeah, most of you got that. Great. What color is electrician? Electrician. Silver, pin, electrician. Great, good job. Okay, let's look at, oops, sorry. Okay, here we have a picture of two students that are using a smaller version of the color vowel chart and a color vowel word list that they have put together based on a lesson that they've just studied. And when they're reviewing their vocabulary, what they do is they have their right hand on the color and they're tapping the color. With their left hand, they're tapping the word that they're saying. So it's kinesthetic, it's visual. They're looking at the color, they're tapping the word, and they're saying the words out loud. It's very important that your students practice their vocabulary out loud. Okay? So, for example, they might be saying, he's saying purple shirt, so he might be saying my name, Shirley, purple shirt, Shirley. Or purpose, purple shirt, purpose. Another strategy is what we call flooding. And you get this image of flooding, meaning that you get hit with a lot of one thing at the same time. So flooding for sound awareness, and this is something that you can do for yourself as well. Create color vowel posters and then collect the words by color. Practicing all the words of the same color together is what we call flooding. So let's do this with the blue moon sound here. Let's say all these words together and see if you can get how this will flood your ears with the same sound. Everybody? Cucumber, musical, humorous, Cameroon, Vancouver, newspaper, soup, lose, loose, use, tools. Can you hear how that flooding can really help you get a sense of how that sound feels in your mouth and how it sounds in your ear? And again, if you have the students using a rubber band, just stretch that sound out and so they can visually see the rubber band pulling between their thumbs. This is a great technique that Judy Gilbert came up with. So it can be visual, auditory, and kinesthetic all at the same time. Here are a couple of more color vowel wall charts, and these are real wall charts from an advanced level adult education class. And these are words that they came up with over many weeks and added day by day to their classes. Let's look at the black cat sound and say the first column together. We're going to flood our ears with the black cat sound, okay? Rash, understand, vocabulary. Are you saying it with me? Mathematical, dancer, hammer, Salvador, personality, irrational, strategies, manageable, amateur, anthem, amnesty, classified, handyman, tab, and I really can't even, haggle. Haggle, I think, is the last one. So some of you talked about not having a lot of time in your class. You can take 1 minute at the beginning of class and say, let's practice the green tea sound, or let's practice the black cat sound. And in 1 minute, you can get a lot of pronunciation work in. Another thing, we talked about simplifying teaching pronunciation. The color vowel chart can really simplify your classroom discussions. Once you and your students are both familiar with the chart, you'll find that the discussions can be greatly simplified. If, for example, a student says, yesterday I went to the doctor. Yesterday I went to the doctor. You can simply say, listen, doctor, doctor, what color is that sound? Right, it's olive. Doctor is olive, not rose. Doctor. And then have them repeat it, add it to their list. Or in a more advanced class, a student might say, talking about someone who has died, after he died, they held a special ceremony. My sister actually heard this on the news one day. After he died, they held a special ceremony. And as the teacher, you can say, listen to where the stress is. Ceremony, ceremony. The stress is on the first syllable, and it's a red word. Ceremony, ceremony. Here's another picture of the same classroom, and they have their personal word lists on posters, so it's portable. You may have this option in your classroom. Or you may have the option of taking a big piece of paper and taping it to the wall, as this classroom did. This is the beginning classroom. Let's look at these words and read them together. Green tea, tea, meat, jeans, fever, silver pin, chicken, nickel, gray day, cake, red dress, eggs, dress, sweater, head. Here's another example of a color vowel chart. Some teachers like using colored markers, but as I've said, once your students know the colors, you can just use a black or a blue marker. It doesn't really matter. So let's read the rose coat words together. Everybody? Yogurt, frozen, Colgate, soap. Colgate's a kind of toothpaste. I don't know why they were talking about that. Here's another example, and you can see that different teachers have different styles for how they do their wall charts. And I'm sure that your teaching situation and your physical classroom will determine how you can do it. And as teachers, I know you're all creative, and I'm sure you'll come up with things that we haven't even thought of, and I hope you'll share them with us. Here's another picture of some students that are surrounded by the color wall chart. So this idea of vocabulary and pronunciation becomes an integral part of their classroom, even when they're not focusing directly on pronunciation. By practicing all of the words of the same color vowel, learners form great sound awareness. And you can see the little picture there of the guy saying all of white words. My, pie, try, white, climate, fly, thigh, high, I like it. Some of you may have already recognized the shape of the color vowel chart. It's organized in the shape of the traditional linguistic vowel chart, which may be very meaningful to you and very helpful to you and your students, or you may totally ignore it and never mention it to your students if you're teaching a very beginning class. Let's watch as Karen explains why the shape is the way it is and shows you how you can help your students with the shape of the chart. And as Karen is doing what she calls a vowel yoga, please stand up and do the movements with her so that you can get these ideas into your own body, just as we want our students to get them into their bodies. So please stand up and join Karen.
The Color Vowel Chart is a powerful visual tool that enables teachers and learners to talk easily and accurately about the sounds of English. Hi, I'm Karen, and we're going to do some vowel yoga together. Join me over here. The reason we're doing this is because it's really quite difficult to notice what we're doing in our vocal tract with our tongue, our jaw, and our lips. So vowel yoga is a way to externalize what's going on inside of our vocal tract. So everything we're going to do with our hands right now is a corollary or an analogy, a visual analogy for what's happening inside of our vocal tract as we create these sounds. So join me this way. Make sure you're facing the same direction I am so that we're like mirror images of each other. Good. Start here at the top. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Here at ah, this sound is known as black. Ah, ah, ah. Notice that my hands are not down because that will be a different sound. Ah. They're here at sort of a 45-degree angle. Ah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Good. Now let's go all the way through to our back vowels, which are back here. So here we are at E, yow, Y, yow, Y, yeah, ah, ah, ah. Ah is a nice place to land, black, because it's a unique vowel sound. It's not very common in other languages, very common in American English. So we'll come back to that time and again. Black. Okay. Coming up through the middle though, let's start down here at ah. Ah, 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 ah. Watch my mouth as I produce both of those sounds. Ah, 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 ah. Notice that black, or ah, is still a front vowel. And all of these front vowels have a certain smile quality to them. So as long as your mouth is tensed in a smile kind of position, it will belong over here. After you pass this midline, all of these vowel sounds involve a gradual closing of the lips. So we have ow, ow, w, w, w. And here is our sound ooh, ooh. We have a lowering of the jaw and an opening of the lips to a big smile. Eow, why? With our bodies, eow, why? Let's go down here. Ah, r, r, r. Here we're coming down from olive, olive sock, up through the central part of the vocal tract, up through cup of mustard, to purple, Say that after me. Purple shirt, That's that special American R sound, as we call it, or purple. Very different from other languages that use an R sound, where most other languages involve a tapping of the tongue against the roof of the mouth, like in Spanish, for example, or in French, for example. But the American R sound comes up with the tongue in the jaw, R, R, Notice that it does not touch, that it remains just short of touching the top of the mouth.
We'll come back to that challenging American R sound in a minute. Next, Karen is going to talk about the schwa sound, which we've represented in the color vowel chart with a cup of mustard, and she'll talk about why it's such an important sound in English. Again, if you can't see the video, you can look at it on the Ning.
I'd now like to introduce you to a sound of English that is so pervasive that many native speakers of English aren't even aware of its existence. And that sound is schwa. Schwa is special because it's what happens to other vowel sounds when they're not stressed. We'll look at a few examples. But first, let's look at an analogy that we'll use. And here I want you to imagine that you are playing football and that you are the goalie. In this analogy, our body is going to behave a lot like our vocal tract. So if you're here and you're a football goalie, we're here like this. Remember that you have to be ready for the ball. The ball might come here, or the ball might go there, or the ball might come straight up at your face, or the ball might go low. And therefore we stay right in the middle so that our bodies are ready to go wherever we need to go. Okay? Similarly, when we're speaking English, our vocal tract remains in a neutral position so that we're ready for the stressed syllable that's coming. Whatever the word or the phrase is, our minds are thinking ahead to that stressed syllable, and therefore when the time comes, if we're centered in the middle, we're ready to go toward that stressed syllable. About. About. Notice that what my body's doing is similar to what the chart does, that we're here at about. About. About is brown. Ow. About. Brown cow, about. But that first syllable is
Again, I hope you were able to see that. Karen talked about the olive, mustard, purple, and how you can move into the English R sound by starting at olive and moving up. R. Then she talked about the very important sound in English, the schwa, cup of mustard. Now she's going to talk about the word banana, which is a great word because it's an example of how one letter can behave in two very different ways within the same word.
banana, banana. Very slowly that word is banana, banana, banana. Notice what's happening there. We have one stress syllable, banana, 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 black, ah, ah, banana. The other two syllables, the first b and the third n, are right up here in schwa. Banana, banana, banana. Banana is a great example of how the same letter can behave in two different ways in English. In the case of banana, there are two sounds that the letter A can make. One is the stress sound in the word, which is banana, black, and the other is schwa in the first and third syllables. B, b, banana, banana.
Okay, we're going to move through a few other aspects of the chart, and I'm going to move through them quickly, but again, all of this information is on the back of the chart, and you can also go to the website if I'm going too quickly and you don't quite get it all, or you can watch it again on the Ning. Let's talk about those Y's and W's. You heard Karen going y, 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 and w, 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 and you'll see that there's a y at the top of the chart on the left, and there are Y's in green tea, gray day, white tie. And if you say these sounds with me, you'll feel how your mouth moves. And we call these moving vowels. So again, we're able to simplify how we talk about English sounds. Instead of talking about diphthongs and glides, we can simply say vowels are either moving or not moving. We call them moving vowels and still vowels. Okay? So the moving vowels, say them with me. E. E. Can you see that the I is moving towards E, towards the Y? And in gray day, it's again that A is moving towards the Y. I, it's moving towards the Y. Okay. And then we have other vowels that move towards W. Blue, rose, brown, ow, ow. And then we have turquoise, which moves towards the y, oi, toy, oi, I, and white tie moves towards the Y. So the superscript indicates the direction of the movement. Here they are again. Let's say all these moving vowels again together quickly and feel how your jaw and your tongue move. E, A, I, O, oo, ow, oi. Now, let's say the still vowels. We're not going to say them in the word. We're just going to say the sound itself, and you can feel how your mouth doesn't move. I, ah, ah. Your mouth has to move, of course, to get to the position, but once your mouth is in the position for olive, you don't move it again. Ah, ah, aw, aw, So those are the still and moving vowels. And again, we love the fact that we can simplify the way we talk about English sounds. Notice again how the chart uses the watermarks Y, R, and W at the top and the superscripts Y and W to remind students of the direction of the movement in the moving vowels. And again, for those of you who are able to watch the video, if you start with the olive sock and move up through cup of mustard and purple shirt, you can help your students begin to understand how the English R sound works. Ah as in olive, and then R, and we end up at R. R. Another thing that the Y's and W's can do is to help remind you and your students of the fact that we link sounds in English. The Y's and W's remind us about the vowel-to-vowel linking, both within words and between words. So, for example, variation, variation, situation. I've had students that want to say situation, situation instead of situation. Between words we link. See it, do it. Let's say these 4 words together. Variation, situation. Can you feel the linking? And these 2 little phrases. See it, do it, do it. Can you hear it? Can you feel it in your mouth, the way those moving vowels actually move to the next vowel? Great. So what's the R for? Try identifying the color of these words. I'm going to say them quickly and see if you can identify the color. Here, here, there, there, far, far, fair, fair, sorry, sorry, blurry, blurry. If you found this challenging, welcome to the club. Everybody finds these words, these kinds of R-colored vowels challenging to hear. Even native speakers find it challenging to hear. So here's the way you can do it. Simply say the word, for example, here, here, and stop before you get to the R. So if you say here, you can see that here is a green sound moving towards purple. Let's try the next one. There, which is red, moving towards purple. There, there. Far, far. Olive, moving towards purple. Far. Fair. Some people will hear this as red and some people as gray. And that's an area where oftentimes native speakers, some people will say it's red, some people will say it's gray. The most important thing is that your students are learning to listen for that stress, listen for that lengthened vowel. Blurry. Blurry is purple. Oh, I'm sorry, and sorry is olive. Sorry, olive, moving towards purple. You can help your students feel this and see this by using the chart. So, for example, the red one, what was the one we had that was red? A, gray. If we have the word fair, starts at gray and moves to purple. Okay. Now let's talk about a couple of other ways you might be able to simplify your classroom discussion again by using the chart. Imagine that you have a grammar class and you have the chart on the wall at all times, and we highly recommend that you have the chart with you every single day so the students see it as an integral part of what you do in your class. So you're doing grammar and you're talking about tenses, and the students see that the verb to read is spelled the same way in both the present and the past tense. You can use the chart to help them understand which is present and which is past. So what color is read in the present tense? Student. It's green, and so you would add it to that green list. And you might even want to put read and in parentheses present tense under the green one. What color is red in the past tense? It's red. What color is said? It's also red. What about say? Say is gray. So again, you simplify your classroom discussion. A few quick suggestions for using the chart with beginning students at different levels. With very low-level students, you don't really need to talk very much about the chart. I would say just use it, and use it kind of in the way that we did in the very beginning, where you just say a word. Like if you're saying the word teacher, you might just point to the chart, point to the green T and say green T, teacher, and then indicate, listen, green T, teacher. More advanced students will benefit from explanation of the shape of the chart and how the movements work. But if you look on the back of the chart, you'll see lessons for how to introduce the chart at various levels and a lot more details about how to introduce the chart. Here's some pictures. You can see that the color vowel chart is very adaptable. You can use it in many different teaching environments. If you go to our website, you'll see even more pictures of teachers using it around the world in very different situations. The color vowel chart is being used from Indonesia to Haiti to China to Burkina Faso to India. And we know that you're going to find your own exciting, creative ways to use the color vowel chart with your students. We hope you'll share your ideas with others through our website, through Facebook. And please visit the website. You can practice listening to the different sounds. There are different materials that you can download. We have color vowel word lists that you can download. We also have pictures to go along with each one of the sounds. So for example, we have a picture of an auburn dog. We have a picture of a gray day, a black cat. You can use this with your students if you think that that would be helpful. So please communicate with us on the Ning, communicate with us on the website, download some of our old newsletters where we talk about different aspects like our colored vowels and still and moving vowels. And we would love to have you share pictures with us and ideas. So thank you so much for joining this webinar. We hope to hear more from you in all of the places that we've mentioned. It was a pleasure to work with you all. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us today. We hope you learned a lot about pronunciation, and we